I think that being a pig farmer is actually a big positive in my life and in our family. We, I guess, get to see the product from start to finish, and there's not many people out there that do that. The whole story together is rewarding but challenging.
This is The Crackling. I'm Anthony Huckstep. In the food industry, there are many jack-of-all-trades because often small business requires such a hands-on approach. For Steve Anderson, it's business as usual as the free-range pig farmer has also become a small good producer, marketing and salesperson, and all-round inspiration too. Steve, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good. You're pretty busy. Tell us a bit about the scope of what you're doing.
Yeah, look, we have plenty to do, don't worry about that. As you were sort of saying, we're the farmer, we're the butcher, we're the small goods maker, and we also market our produce at the farmers markets.
Tell us a little bit about the product and the farm. Tell us about the region. What's so great about that region for growing pigs?
Look, we're in the Wagga area. For us, there's a lot of foodie people. It's sort of known as, I guess, the Riverina food bowl. We have been doing it for, I think it's 9 years this year, and when we first started out, it was a challenge, getting people to try things different and try things that are a little bit outside the box. But that following has grown obviously substantially now to what it is today.
You mentioned you started 9 years ago. What sort of triggered the move into pig farming?
Oh, look, I grew up in far north Queensland. We basically had a small property where we had a lot of small crops, and we grew watermelons and pumpkins, and we also had pigs. They were semi-free range. They were just large whites and land race pigs. And essentially, we've been around pigs all my life. And from there, I went and became a butcher. And after finishing my apprenticeship, I actually moved down to New South Wales into Wagga, and that's where I met my wife, and basically it all started from there.
Tell us about that transition from butcher to farmer. Do you have any favourite stories of the challenges of setting it up?
Oh, look, there's plenty of those. We, as I said, started out a lot of years ago, and we started really from nothing. We leased some land out at the Mangapla area, and I remember in the early days we brought a couple of sows that were meant to be proven breeders, and we'd got them, and they were very shy, very timid pigs, and anytime we needed to move them or bring them in from a paddock, it was almost impossible. They just were so skittish around people. Eventually they did tame down and became quite good, but in the early times we labelled my wife as the pig whisperer, because my wife Leah, she was the only person that could actually get these pigs to come in out of the paddock and go where we needed them to go. So yeah, that was I guess there's a lot of times passed since then, but yeah, we still quite often refer to that, talk about her being the pig whisperer.
Tell us about the breeds that you settled on for what you do.
Yeah, so we run Berkshire. So for us, that's part of our key story. So Berkshire it's known as the Wagyu of the pork world, if that makes sense. So it has a high marbling content through the meat rather than a layer of fat. Obviously, they can also get that layer of fat on the outside, but generally speaking, we're looking for that marbling, and what that means is for the consumer and for eating quality is it's tender and juicy.
Tell us a bit about the life on the farm for the pigs. What's a day-to-day for them?
Well, life on the farm for the pigs is quite good, really. They start out in the morning. They walk around, and depending on the time of the year, it could be if it's a summertime, they'll usually go and lay in the wallows or lay under a shady tree. And in the wintertime, you tend to find them huddled up together, whether it be in some straw that we've put there or just huddled up under a tree, just depending on what the weather's doing at the time. And so they're pretty happy just doing their thing, rummaging around, foraging, and doing what pigs generally do when they're not locked up.
Tell us a bit about their diet, and do you has that altered over the years in order to get a different product at the end?
Yeah, it has. So when we first started out, we did use like a commercial feed, like a pellet, and today we actually mill our own feed. So we have three hammer mills, and we actually mix up our own grains and mill them to specific requirements for each stage of the pig's life.
Tell us about the life cycle of the Berkshire pigs that you have. How long do they live, and what sort of size are you processing them at?
So a pig can live to quite a good age in pig standards. They can range anywhere, depending on productivity, but generally speaking, anywhere from 5 to 9 or 10 years. They can certainly, in pig terms, live for a fairly long time. They generally mature around that 9 to 10 months, sort of, definitely by their 12-month stage. And if you're breeding from them, then you would generally get to about 100 kilos at about that mark, and that's when you would put them with the boar and go for it.
You cut your teeth as a butcher, which I want to get into shortly, but what surprised you about pig farming?
Look, being around it all my life, I guess there wasn't a lot of surprises. Probably the intelligence of the pigs is probably always something that surprises most people. They are quite an intelligent pig. If you treat them right and look after them, they are really easy, placid animals. Like, they're really good to work with. So, being a butcher, I guess we see that in the end product as well, because they come through, and we quite often have the abattoirs and different workers will comment that they're the nice, quietest pigs they've seen. We also get a lot of uni students, so we do vet placements for the uni in Wagga, and quite often people come out and are astonished at how easy they are to actually handle. And that comes down to how they're looked after and how they're raised. It was probably a little bit unlike those early days where we had those couple of sows that we got in that were very timid, a bit scared. So it just goes to show, when you look after them and do the right thing, they're really good.
The pig in the chefing world is known as nose to tail, and that every single part of it can be used. Well, tell us about breaking down a whole pig and the approach required.
Yeah, sure. So our process for us is, because we make all our own small goods and bacon and ham and everything, we do use the whole pig. So we take our pigs to the abattoirs, and then we get the carcass back into our cut-up room, and from there we would generally go through, break it all down into the primal or the main cuts, and that would be like a shoulder, a loin, belly, and leg. And then from there we would determine what we need for the week, look at what orders we have for restaurants, pubs and clubs, and also what we need for our markets that we do. And we would go through and trim and break that down further into specifications that we need, and obviously keeping aside things that we need for bacon and ham and our small goods.
Tell us about the fat content that you need from the pigs and how important it is for the different areas, whether it's the fresh pork or the small goods.
Look, the fat is important in all of those areas. So with fresh pork, that's where we look at marbling in those pork cuts, so that when people get like a whole pork scotch fillet or a pork medallion, butterfly loin, they can actually cook that up and it still retains its moisture and flavour. So the secret for me in our operation is there's a few people out there that are doing free range pork, but very few people doing free range Berkshire pork. And that's one of the secrets for us is the breed plays such a big part in the eating quality for the pork. So with that marbling, that gives you your tender and juicy, and obviously free range gives you the flavour. So and also there is an aspect of flavour in the Berkshire as well. So Berkshire meat often turns out darker in colour than other breeds, and also free range as well. So for me, the fat content is as important as all of those other aspects. It's all sort of wrapped into one. But when you're looking at small goods, you need somewhere, depending on what type of small goods you're making, somewhere between 18 and 30% fat content to actually produce the quality small goods that you want to make.
Tell us about some of the small goods that you're producing.
So we do quite a range. It's always interesting. We get a lot of comments from some of our products. We make a wild blueberry and maple bacon cabana. That's really good. We do a black garlic cabana. So that's a fermented garlic, and we put that into our cabana. They're often referred to as salamis because the way we make them, they are more like a salami than a cabana or a cabanossi. But we have about 7 different types of cabanas that we make. We make a fennel and parmesan. We make a VFH cabana, which stands for V is very and H is hot. I'll let you work out what the F is for. So that's a really popular one. We also do just a honey garlic cabana, just a nice mild one for the kids. Also a honey chili garlic cabana. So yeah, there's quite a few different types of cabanas, and then we have our chorizo, we have our pancetta, we have speck, we make hot dogs, we make Devon, obviously ham and bacon, speck. You know, there's a whole range of products that we do that make up our product line.
When it comes to using a whole muscle and making something like a prosciutto or a ham, take us through your process of one of those and what's really important in getting it right.
So if we were to do, say, a boneless ham, for example, we would bone out the leg. We remove all of the shin meat, which has got the sinewy or gristle pieces in it. We would also give that a trim so that we can roll it up nice and neat and keep it tight. And from there, it's a really old school process. We have a recipe, obviously, that we have developed over the years. We cure that. We leave that for a few days in the cure, and then we remove it. We net it up into a sock, and then we hang it in our smoke ovens and smoke it for a specific time. And when it comes out, it's a delicious, flavourful ham.
What sort of impact does it have on you having sort of your hands in so many areas, farmer, butcher, small goods producer? How do you manage it all?
It's very hard. We do have some good key people that help me along the way. So I personally, my typical week would be I would spend a few days on the farm each week. I spend a few days in the cut-up room helping those guys, and then we'd spend a few days at the markets. I typically would say that that I would work an 8-day week, and and I have another saying that I say that's quite funny is we feel like we get up half an hour before we actually go to bed. So it's a long process, but there is a couple of guys that I've got helping me that we employ. We've got a bloke on the farm that helps. We've got a bloke in the cut-up room. And obviously we have some people help us at the markets as well. Alongside with my family, I've got my wife. She helps me as well as doing her own job that she does. And also our 3 children help out a lot. So when we first started, our children were 10, 8 and 6-year-olds. And now they're 19, 17 and 16. So there's often a comment made at the markets where customers come up and they say, they still ask about that kid, that the little kid that we would have had helping us at the markets, because when they were very young, they were helping us serve customers at the markets and still do. So we've got a lot of long-term customers, and they've followed watching our kids grow throughout the times. And it's been a challenge because we've got obviously those young kids and small business, and we've also had things like droughts and fires and the whole process. So it's certainly been a tough gig.
And how important are those farmers markets for what you do?
Look, they're essential to what we do. It allows us to sell direct to the public. It gives us that connection with our customers. It is one of our goals was to have a full process control. So we grow the pork, we cut the pork up, we make the small goods, and then we actually sell that, or have that available for people to purchase at the market. So it's been a very important step of the whole process.
Tell us about cooking in your house. Do you have a particular cut or method of cooking that is a family favourite?
Absolutely. We have a product that we make, and it's called a belly flop. So my wife actually loves telling this story at the markets. She'll say to a customer, have I told you about my belly flop story? And the customers look at her and just wonder what's going on. And she then proceeds and tells them that no, I haven't been swimming. It's not a belly flop in the pool. And she tells them about this pork belly that we roll up, and inside it we put fennel, lemon, oregano, and cracked pepper. So that's the flop is an acronym. So it's F is fennel, L is lemon, oregano, cracked pepper. So that's our belly flop story, and she tells how to cook it and what to do, and of course the customers love it.
Is there a secret to getting that right when you're cooking it and getting great crackling?
Yeah, there is. So with our pork, we always recommend we don't use any oil or any water. Dry the skin off. The secret is loads of salt, because you want to use the salt to draw that fat through the rind, through the crackling, to get it to crackle. And we always tell people with the belly, it can handle a high temperature, so 200 degrees all the way through. Don't turn it down. Put it on a rack, and because the skin goes all the way around, you get this crackling right the way around it. And our family dish that we do is we roast that off probably a little bit longer than you'd normally cook a normal roast, because we want that fat to render out, and we want that really crispy, crunchy skin. And so basically you're slightly overcooking that belly, which when you slice it up, it's really tender, really juicy, and you got that crispy crackling all through it. And I basically, like in the summertime, chop that up and put that in a salad, and it's absolutely delicious. You just have this, it's like a warm pork belly salad.
That sounds amazing.
It's pretty good.
Australia's had some very strange weather the last sort of year or two. What sort of impact does the weather have on sort of what you do on the farm? And do you have any stories of dealing with that over the last decade?
Look, it's always a challenge, and weather is always unpredictable. So we have to sort of take each time as it goes. But recently we've had a lot of challenges with how wet it was over the last winter. We were having trouble to put down the bottom end of our property, where there's a lot of trees where we particularly have our dry sows, and that area was a little bit of a challenge to get to because of the wet weather. So we found we were having to walk down there to then, we had a laneway and we would walk them all the way back up to an area so we could feed them and then basically walk them all back again, where, that added hours and hours of time to our day because we were we couldn't get the feed down to them. So it meant we had to bring them up, if that makes sense. So that was one example, I guess. And then when we did try to attempt to go down to these places, we would get bogged. It was a daily occurrence where we would just get bogged, and all of our roads were all chopped up and all these big deep ruts in them. And we're still trying to fix them now.
Tell us about life on the farm for you. How does it make you feel, sort of being out there, being a pig farmer?
Look, I think that being a pig farmer is actually a big positive in my life and in our family. We I guess get to see the product from start to finish, and there's not many people out there that do that. There is a few, as I said, that do free range pigs, but not a lot of them have their own cut up room. There is a few guys out there that are doing it now, and for us, we really enjoy seeing the people give us their responses and feedback from trying our different products. So we have lots of different sausages as well, which is also another thing that a lot of people know us for. It's things like fig and beetroot sausages, and jalapeno and corn, molasses and licorice root. There's 72 different types we've come up with that we make, that we do a bit of a rotation on.
Wow!
And people, and they're all preservative free, filler free, binder free. So there's no products with numbers in there. It's all good healthy stuff. So for us, that's why that's what we get out of. We've got the farm, the cut up room, the markets. The whole story together is rewarding but challenging.
You mentioned so many sausage varieties there. What's important in making sausages for you?
Look, changing the bar from what people think sausages are is probably is one thing. So our sausages are very unique. We do make a lot of different types of sausages. For us, a sausage that's preservative free, and so we don't use packet mixes. So most butchers will, when they make a sausage, they will get a packet mix and put it with their meat, and then they would obviously add the required amount of water. And often a typical sausage in a typical butcher shop would be 38 kilos of meat. They would use a 4.5-5 kilo bag of this premixed stuff and 7 or 8 litres of water, and that would then make their sausage that they have. And that's why sausages don't all taste the same, but they have the same resemblance. They all have that sort of look about them, whereas all our sausages are very different. And there is a few butchers out there doing a few different things, and we've entered a lot of different competitions, and we generally win quite a number of those for different combinations and different innovations. Thing is probably the key, coming up with something different that other people aren't doing, and along with those other attributes of free range meat, no preservatives, and stuff that people know that they can rely on being a good healthy food protein.
Well, you've done an extraordinary job in building the farm and your brand as well. What's next for you?
Look, for us, there's a couple of things that we still want to try to do. We would like to complete the picture and have the full control, which would be building a on-farm abattoirs. The property that we brought 3 years ago is actually an old site for an old slaughterhouse that used to be operational back in the 50s and 60s, and so we would like to build a micro abattoir where we can, do our own processing on that side of things. And also it'd help other farmers out as well. We have lots of people wanting to use that service as well.
Well, Steve, it's amazing what you've built there, and it's an absolute honour to have you on the Crackling today to hear a part of your story. Good luck, keep in touch, and we'll catch up again soon.
No worries, thanks, Huck. Cheers.
This is The Crackling, a Deep in the Weeds production in partnership with PorkStar. I'm Anthony Huckstep. Stay tuned as we catch up with some of Australia's best chefs and pork producers to discover what makes Australian pork so special.